She had always treated me like I was nothing, but this time her cruelty went too far. As the rest area faded into the distance, I realized I was completely alone. Her mocking laughter rang through the phone, leaving me stunned. Her arrogance in her voice and her blatant disregard for me ignited a surge of anger. In any case, she always made me feel like such a disappointment. With my family, but they had left me now. My chest tightened despite all my hard work. I ran an inn with dedication and managed every detail to perfection, but she clung to her story, intent on destroying my self-worth. On her end of the call, I could hear relatives laughing. Her cold, cutting words, "You who just sit around the house don't deserve to stay at a hotel," swept over me, leaving me feeling confused and afraid. Her influence caused the entire family to turn against me, including my husband, who refused to stand up for me, and their derision increased my isolation. This outright betrayal was too much. Her sneering face and disdainful eyes filled my consciousness as rage and anguish turned inside of me, along with the humiliation and dismissiveness of my contributions. Something inside of me felt suffocated by her fixation with pushing me away, and I decided to stop. I took a deep breath and held my phone tightly, my fingers shaking not out of fear, but rather from the raw power of long-suppressed rage. My heart raced with a newfound determination. "Hello," I said, dialing with shaky fingers, my voice calm and steady but full of resolve. I had a favor to ask, and this was the first step toward an unexpected revenge, as well as the beginning of reclaiming my life. I'm 40 years old, a manager at a big company, and I met my spouse. My name is Maya Smith. In our late 30s, Tom and I decided to get married after 6 months of dating. He was kind and attentive at first, but as time went on, he became uninterested in me, and we hardly ever spoke. Nevertheless, I accepted this, telling myself it was just the way things were. One evening, as I was cleaning up after dinner, Tom said, "Hey Maya, I need to talk to you." "Oh, what's up?" I smiled, pleased that he was speaking to me directly. "I'm busy with work, and you have more days off than I do, so you take care of it. For once, my family is organizing a trip for about 20 relatives, and they want me to manage the hotel reservations and the itinerary." I wanted to emphasize that I worked hard and fulfilled my obligations just as much as he did, even if I had a little more money. "Find an inexpensive place since I'm paying for everything. If you're coming, pitch in too." Flexibility, but I held my tongue for once. He asked for my assistance, and I wanted to provide it because spending time with his family wasn't particularly appealing, but this was for him. I said, "I'll take care of everything, thanks. Just choose a location that won't make us look foolish in front of my family." After completing the cleanup, he relaxed on the couch and browsed through his phone. I went back to the bedroom and called a friend. "Hello, this is me. I need a favor," I spoke in a voice. "Call me with a reason." When Tom's parents showed up at our apartment a few days later, I told him about the trip itinerary, and he insisted that we invite them over so we could discuss the specifics face to face. As soon as they entered, Tom's mother, Elaine, made a beeline for my kitchen cabinets and started searching through them without hesitation. "Maya, how decadent should you be to prepare Tom's dinner instead of ordering a gourmet quick curry from a hotel?" It was nothing new. Every time Elaine came to visit, she treated my kitchen like her own shopping aisle, helping herself to groceries, canned goods, and even decorative items. Living off of things like this, she said with mock disapproval, pulling out a few packets without asking and casually dropping them into her bag. Once she took a set of dishes, she did so without saying anything, and her excuse was always the same. "Anything in my son's house is fair game. What's wrong with me?" After that, I began concealing my favorite things before their visits. Tom's father, Rick, stood idly by, laughing, while Elaine went on her shopping spree. When she was finished, she finally sat down, just in time. I gave them the hotel information, bringing up the website for the upscale hotel I had reserved. I gave them my phone to display the sleek pictures of the recently opened property, and Elaine gave it a quick glance. "I thought you were worthless, but I suppose you can handle something like this." Curling into a contemptuous snort, I said, "Well, aren't you getting above your station? How are you affording this?" Fortunately, I was able to negotiate a group discount under Tom's name. She spoke in a heated tone, and her comments hurt. But I didn't let it reveal what Elaine didn't know or what I hadn't told her about the hotel, that it was a part of my own company, a little one that my family had run for years. But after it received media notice, reservations soared, and we branched out into upscale hospitality due to the increase in demand. particularly from foreign visitors. Since Tom's and my family owned a business, I had been in charge of the new opulent property. However, he was unaware that I was operating such a renowned hotel. I had kept it a secret out of concern that it would cause conflict. Tom had once grumbled about my income being higher than his, so I played down my career. Over time, I decided not to tell him or his parents the whole scope of my success. I'm sure you'll love it. I sat with a courteous grin. The location is stunning and the hospitality is outstanding. After giving me a doubtful glance and saying, "We'll see, I'll keep my expectations low," Ela added, "Since we're here, let's do some shopping, and we should grab dinner at a nice restaurant too." She totally disregarded my offer to prepare a meal and departed. Soon after the trip, the day finally arrived. Tom, his parents, and I got in his car and headed to the hotel to meet the rest of the family. Sitting in the back, Elaine couldn't help but make her typical jokes. "Isn't it time to replace Tom? You shouldn't be driving around in such a dilapidated vehicle." Keeping his gaze on the road, Tom moaned, "I'd love to, but it's not in the budget." I looked at him with pity since I knew how costly this vacation was already. He was under a lot of pressure to please his family, and I'll pay for it since I can't bear the thought of my son driving about in such a junker. From the back car, Elaine let out a big sigh and whispered, "Thank you, Mom." Tom instantly responded, "Of course, we'll go to the dealership next week and pick out something more impressive." They carried on talking as if I weren't seated in the front seat next to Tom. Delane thought, her tongue turning sharp, if only there were grandkids along for this trip. But I suppose it's too late to hope for that at this point. That's what happens when you marry a woman who's already past her prime, Mom and Dad, isn't it? Gone with his family, but that didn't make it any less painful. Tom said, but he didn't pursue it, allowing their hurtful remarks to linger. I remained silent, gazing out the window and wishing I had never agreed to. "Come along," I finally said softly after a lengthy silence. "Tom, could we please stop at the next service area? I need to use the restroom." Elaine rolled her eyes right away. "Couldn't you have gone before we left? That's why we're always late." I told her, "I'm sorry, I'll be quick." Tom pulled into the next service area, and I rushed inside. The women's restroom line was long, and I anxiously checked my watch, concerned that I would be keeping everyone up past 10. Minutes when I eventually came out, I discovered that the parking spot where Tom's car had been was now empty. Confused, I looked around to see if I had missed them. I called Tom, but he didn't answer, and after a few more unsuccessful attempts to get through to him, I tried Elaine, but she answered right away, "Oh, Maya, something's wrong. I'm still at the service area." Trying to speak steadily, I asked, "Did something happen?" "Oh, we're already at the hotel," she added. Her comments, which were dripping with contempt, were like a kick to the gut. "These are for family trips," she said. "You know you're just an outsider tagging along." Elaine, she interrupted me, her mocking laughter echoing over the line in the background, and I could hear other family members laughing as well. Without waiting for an answer, she disconnected. "I'm already spoiled with what my son offers without working or contributing, so you can sit this one out." Stood, I took a deep breath and called the hotel, saying, "Hello, this is Maya. I have a reservation under Smith." Stunned, the weight of her words settled over me as I fought against the despair that was creeping in. I had worked so hard to plan this trip, putting my own responsibilities on hold, only to be abandoned like this. However, feeling sorry for myself wouldn't solve anything. I faced worse as a hotel manager handling crisis with composure, drawing on that strength. "Please confirm." After making sure everything was in order, I called again. "Hello, this is Maya." The main office, I told my assistant, "I'm stuck at a service area and need a ride to the hotel, of course, Miss Smith." In the car, Elaine boasted to Tom that the woman has never been a good fit for him because she is too elderly for children and not exactly a catch-all mother. "I'll send a car right away," she said with relief. I hung up and said, "I'll be back on track soon." "Enough," Tom said. Despite the lack of conviction in his voice, she went on, "I'm just saying you deserve someone who's actually a family person." Later at the hotel, Tom and his family settled into their opulent rooms and enjoyed the evening as if nothing had occurred. They gathered in the dining area for an exquisite lunch. Tom sat in silence, torn but unable to find the strength to defend me. "Tom really made this home his own," Rick remarked, surveying the area with approval. "This hotel is well known." Across the nation, Maya handled the arrangements, and Tom acknowledged that he was attempting to sound casual while covering it, which is what a good husband does. Tom's discomfort was obvious, but he made an effort to ignore it and enjoy the moment. I hope it didn't cost you much. As the family got ready to check out the following morning, they thought all of the costs had already been paid. However, as they assembled in the lobby, the hotel manager came up to them and said, "Excuse me, here is your final bill." Tom, a thorough explanation. Tom scowled as he looked at the total. His eyes widened. The prices included the group's special rate, weight, as well as a delicious upgrade and other services. Why is this so much more than expected? Tom stumbled. "I apologize, sir." The manager stated politely and firmly that the discounted cost was only accessible if the owner was present. Tom scowled in perplexity. I had assumed that everything was handled with a discount. Elaine clutched her purse tightly as if holding onto it could somehow make the charges disappear. Tom stammered, his voice shakily, "Maya owns this hotel." The manager nodded calmly. "Yes, she's the owner since she wasn't present." "Maya Smith is your wife," the manager said. The room fell silent. Tom's face paled, and a hush settled over the family. $20,000. Tom must have been mistaken as Elaine gasped and tightened her hold on her purse. "I had no idea." Tom stumbled and appeared more and more agitated. "I didn't realize Maya was the owner," someone whispered. The manager extended the bill with a steady hand. "How would you like to settle this?" The other relatives started muttering among themselves. "You didn't know she owned this place and she paid for everything." Tom's eyes dropped to the ground, unable to meet theirs. Meanwhile, I was resolved to confront Tom and his family when I got to the hotel, and the staff welcomed me with open arms. "Miss Smith." The manager smiled respectfully and said, "Everything has been handled as you requested." I thanked him and went to the lobby. As I walked in, I saw Tom and his family at the counter, and I approached them with my head held up. Their faces were a mix of embarrassment and uneasiness. "Hello, good morning to all," I remarked. "I see you're having a lovely time," in a calm but stern tone. The look of amazement on their faces was almost hilarious. The first person to regain her Tom's thick, fake sweetness was Elaine. "We were merely taken aback, Maya, and I'm sure you weren't aware that you were the owner." I responded calmly, "But I hope that my status as an outsider doesn't bother you anymore." Tom started to speak, but I stopped him with a hand signal. "Listen, you left me. I'm the reason you're here, and I pay for everything, but I wasn't family enough, so I left you behind." There was a long quiet during which no one dared to look at me. Now that they were looking down at that bill, I added my tone, resolutely refusing to give any additional discounts, thoughtful restitution for the years of disrespect, and without waiting for a reply, I turned and went, feeling a sense of closure as I left them to deal with the cost on their own. Later that day, I made the symbolic decision to leave my hotel suite and return home, leaving behind not only the trip, but also Tom and his family for good. I packed my bags and thought back on everything I had been through, realizing that this trip had been a turning point and that I deserved respect and gratitude, things that Tom and his family would never give me. As I was wrapping up, the manager knocked on the door and came in with a farewell present. "Smith, Miss, we appreciate your continued cooperation and trust, and we hope this is the start of many more successful ventures." "Thank you," I said with a smile. "This hotel feels like a second home to me, and you've helped make it truly special." As I checked out, I felt as though I was entering a new chapter in my life, free from the burden of others and continual judgment. Anticipation in the days that followed. For far too long, I put all of my energy into growing the family business, opening more upscale stores, and pursuing my dreams at Shove. Surprisingly, word of my divorce and Tom's growing financial difficulties quickly spread, but I didn't let it get to me because my new life was full of growth, community, and purpose, surrounded by people who respected me and shared my vision. On calm nights, I would toast myself, thankful for the courage to go and create a life according to my own rules. I came to the realization that happiness was something I could assert on my own behalf, and I wasn't. Reflecting on the past,